Hey everybody, Danielle Hargenrader here. Welcome to another episode of Unleash Your Inner Diabetes Dominator. Today I'm really excited to bring you Edward Fieder, and I hope I'm saying that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was that right? Cool.
That is right.
All right, so as usual, I'm going to read his bio, and then we're going to get right into his story and get to know a little bit about Edward. So, Edward Fieder was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 11, and he is the founder of The Faces of Diabetes, which is a nonprofit organization whose aim is to inspire those with diabetes and break stereotypes with positive attitudes. So awesome. Thank you for being with us today, Edward. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Sweet. So, like I always do, we're going to start out. We want to hear about your story of diagnosis and kind of the path you traveled to get from where you were at 11 to where you are now.
All right. So I was diagnosed in 1998. And for me, the diagnosis was fairly rough. I have a loved one that has diabetes, and for a while I had seen what diabetes could do to you. I knew about the injections. I had seen seizures. I'd seen what this disease could do to you if it's not managed properly. So when I was diagnosed at 11, I thought, that was my future, that's what was going to happen to me. So I collapsed on the ground. It was a very terrifying experience. I cried, and I was, messed up for days. And I remember going to the doctors. I had to go to 3 doctors, and the first doctor said that I actually didn't have diabetes. So we had to get a second opinion. The second opinion said, oh, well, you do, but you're just honeymooning really bad. And so we had to get a third opinion, and they're like, yeah, you have diabetes. You're just honeymooning real bad. And I was like, okay. So after that, I didn't really accept it for a while. I was in 6th grade at the time, and going back to a school from when you're in 5th grade to being just a normal kid. I remember trick-or-treating with friends before I was even diagnosed, and eating as much candy as I could possibly stuff in my mouth. To being in 6th grade and having people come up to you and ask you what you're doing with a bag of stuff to prick your fingers with it, and taking shots and stuff, and going to the office all the time. It was a really a weird transition for me. And I didn't really get used to it until way later down the road. I started going to this diabetes camp called Camp Sil Harris, and it really helped me out a lot. I started going there when I was, I think, 12. It was the next summer in '99, and I've been there ever since. And so I grew up, doing the whole camp thing, and it really helped me learn. The main thing it taught me was carb counting and portion control. And so those 2 things really helped me manage my diabetes to where I am today. I still hold on to a lot of the stuff they taught me. The main things that I got, from camp was seeing people that were just like me, which gave me comfort, and being able to count my carbs and do portion control and stuff like that. So I got really involved with that. At 17, I became a counselor in training, and then at 18, I became an actual counselor, and I did that up until I was about 23. And diabetes had always been like a very personal thing for me. It was something that for a while there, I was like, it's not a big deal. It's just something that I do. And then at about around 15 or 16, I knew it's something that I wanted to have, I wanted to actively do something with it. So I started doing the counselor thing at the camp. Loved it. Had a good group of guys every year, and really enjoyed mentoring them and helping them out and goofing off with them. And for I guess around the age of 23, I got really burnt out on it. And I started doing a lot of their photography and stuff. I started picking up a camera, and started playing with it at the age of 21, and I fell in love with photography. So I stopped doing the concert thing and started doing a lot of their media work, some of their videos and stuff like that, and doing their slideshows, and I loved it. So I went to school for graphic design and photography, and I hate graphic design. Absolutely, I don't like it at all. I don't know what I guess I did graphic design because they didn't have a photography degree until the semester before I graduated. But I loved it. They knew I was a photographer. They knew that was something I was going to pursue for the rest of my life. They knew I wasn't a graphic design person. And I think a lot of my grades reflected that. So I ended up doing this. We had to do something called a senior thesis at the end of the year for me, in order for me to graduate, which is pretty much you're making your own gallery show. And I had talked to my advisor about it, and he was like, well, you should do it on living with diabetes. And I was like, no, because I've done diabetes stuff, for the longest time. I wanted to show the world that there's more to me than just that. So of course, 2 rejected ideas later and 4 days left to come up with a solution. I was like, oh, living with diabetes, that's it, we'll get it done. So living with diabetes became my senior thesis topic. And I started coming up with ideas like what my life has been like growing up with this disease. And I ended up making 7 images and a video depicting what my life has been like. And so when I got done with it, they have to like critique you, where you're in this room and all your teachers are sitting around you, and you have to explain your pieces. You have to, they're going to try to like stump you, and they're going to ask you questions about it, and you're going to like, you have to defend your work basically. And so they came in and they were like, these are really great pieces. I kind of wish you had done this. I kind of wish you had done that. And one thing that one of the teachers said was, these are great educational pieces. And I stopped them and I was like, if you're finding this educational, that's great and everything, but that was not the purpose of this project. The purpose of this project was to show you what my life has been like growing up. This is my journey, from little kid to adult now, of the things I've had to put up with, the things I had to deal with, whether it be comical or serious, that kind of stumped him. He was like, well, these aren't educational, why'd you do it? I was like, because this is my life, this is what we go through. And I think that really shocked them that instead of just going along with the compliment, I kind of stopped them and kind of took it away from them. But that's something that really stuck with me. And I got an A, and graduated. And after it was done, I moved out to Colorado because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I just wanted to take pictures and stuff and make people look cool. So moved out to Colorado, had no idea what I was doing, worked an awful job, was super depressed. And I was talking to my dad about how much I loved doing that diabetes project. And he was like, well, your story's told, but there's like so many more people out there that don't have their chance to tell their story. And he was like, since you have a camera, go use it for something, make a book. And I was like, okay, that's a pretty good idea. So we set on the idea for the Faces of Diabetes for like 8 months. I mean, and that was out of sheer just laziness. Like I didn't know if I could do it. I was freaked out if I could. How could I get people involved? Will people think this is a good idea? Do I actually have the talent to do it? Like all this stuff was just building up, and I just kind of put it off. I was like, nah, we'll just, we'll wait. And then in November, I was just going, you know what? Oh no, it was the summer. It was the summer in 2013. I decided to actually start. And I had some friends from camp that were interested, and some people that I'd known for a while. And they, I told them if they wanted to be a part of this, and like, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, sure. And then, people started canceling on me. Like I would drive to these places and people would cancel on me. And it got really frustrating because I was spending money on gas and taking time out of my day to do this, and they were canceling on me. So I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need some help. So I started a Kickstarter project. So I started the Kickstarter, made a video, made the amount of money like $5,000, and was like, hey, if people want this, they have the limit. If it goes, cool. If not, oh well, it's obviously something the world doesn't need. Well, we got $5,500 in 30 something days. Hit the goal, and it started to grow. People were contacting me saying, oh, this is such a great idea. In the process of doing it, like the Face of Diabetes was originally supposed to just be a photo book. And it was supposed to be this idea of, we're going to show the world what diabetics actually look like. We're not these fat monsters, obese things that people, assume that we are, these unhealthy dieters or whatever they think that we're supposed to be.
Like the image of Wilford Brimley that everybody gets in their mind, like when they hear the word diabetes.
We don't all look like Wilford Brimley. So it was kind of to show, like, I wanted to show people, like, one, you can live the life you want to lead. It's not going to stop you from doing anything you want to do, and to show that we come in all shapes and sizes. Not just obese, but that's the way it started. It was all just a book, and then when I started the Kickstarter, I was asking people on Reddit, what do you guys think of this project I'm trying to start? Yada yada yada. And one guy from Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of people in Pennsylvania that apparently are very active in the diabetes community, and they commented on my post and were like, hey, it's cool that you're doing a book. It sounds like a rad idea. We would like a way that, for people outside of your area, like Pennsylvania, that I could submit a book or a photo and a story, to be featured, like on a website or something. You should make a website to accompany it so people outside of your area can be a part of this. And I was like, man, that's a really good idea. I'll do that too. And so I took some of the Kickstarter money and made a website to show people who live with diabetes in their stories. And it started to pick up a lot more.
Yeah.
But that was just the idea for the website was just to like accompany and give, people something else to look at. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a combination of the two. You get what you're going to get both of these things. But yeah, it was just there to kind of like accompany the book. And then we started doing shoots in January of 2014 is when I officially started like traveling like hardcore. And I usually go around. I usually go to a new area every weekend, and it's usually in the Alabama, but I've gone to Florida. I've gone to Georgia. I'm planning on hitting up Tennessee and Mississippi, but not a lot of people have contacted me in either area yet. And of course, there's a camp in Idaho that wants me to come out there. There's places in Kentucky, and there's one girl in Tennessee that I actually work with that she's contacted me about her diabetes group wanting to get involved. And so I don't know exactly how far I'm going to go.
Yeah, well,
but it's been kept to the southeast because that's just the more realistic part of it.
I was going to say the beautiful thing about this project is though it really has no limit, and that's one of the I'm a very worldview kind of person with myself and with my business, with everything, and I think that if you so desired, this could become a global endeavor. I mean, because diabetes is not just in the United States, it's all over the world in every single country that exists. So when you say, that you're not sure how far this is going to go, I have a feeling that, again, depending on your desire, because it really is going to depend on what Edward wants to do with this, but it really could be forever, for endless. And I'm just going to interject a little bit because you said so many awesome things that I want to touch on. And first of all, obviously your dad is awesome. I don't even know him, but that stuck out to me because my mom is my champion supporter, and everything that I do, whether it's diabetes related or not, she's well, you can do this. And it sounds like your dad totally kind of gave you that first idea, which is super awesome. And the other thing is that all the people that I've interviewed, and I like to kind of provide this example to people out there that are watching, is that, you got involved with kind of becoming kind of okay with diabetes as much as we can become okay with it by involving yourself with other people who have diabetes, going to camp. And I think that is paramount, if that whole not feeling alone, being in the company of other people who are going through the same thing that you are. And so obviously that was in your very beginning, but it also, you said you started when you were 12, and how old are you now? In your 20s, later 20s?
Yeah, I'm 28.
28. So obviously that was something that was so meaningful to you that it started you out when you were 12, and it was so, important that you're still doing it at 28. And that's kind of the point, is that we need that support from other people that are living the same kind of day-to-day life that we are, whether we know it or not. But once we get it, it kind of becomes I don't know how I could possibly be without this. And that's kind of how I am with these interviews and just what I'm doing with my life as well. It's the more involved I get with the online community, the more people I actually meet face to face. I'm how was I living my life without interacting with these people beforehand? Because now it's just so much more kind of, all right, there's so many more people out there who are going through the same thing I am, that somehow offers an immense amount of comfort. So yeah. The Faces of Diabetes is your website, right? And as I always do, I'll put all your links underneath the video so everybody can reach you wherever you want. So are you looking for people to continually submit photos to your website now? Where are you at now with that?
Oh man. So again, the website was there just to kind of accompany it. So if people wanted to share their story, if they had one, they could do it on the site. When I started doing the book, we wanted to have your story. It was going to be your story and your picture. And then that changed. I started photographing people that didn't have stories, little kids who just want to play, they don't they're not oh, diabetes doesn't slow me. There's it's just something that I do. It's, and a lot of people share that. And and that's good for them, because they it's just oh, it's just this thing I have to deal with, and they're still leading the lives they want to lead. It's bad for me because anything to touch on. You know what I mean? So we took the stories out for a while, and I've just been focusing on getting photos for the book, and people who could submit to the website. I've had people in the book submit their own photos and their own stories to the website. What we're probably going to do is, when the book's coming closer to an end, which is coming closer to an end, which I'm really excited about because we only have 68 slots left to fill. Wow. And I'm so tired of going everywhere every weekend. we're hoping to get these knocked out. I would like to get it done by next May. I know that seems like a ton of time, 11 months, but
No.
it goes by a lot faster than you think. And with it being summer here in the South, you know, when everything gets melted because the heat is so insane, I don't like having people sweaty in my photos because it looks gross.
Yeah.
I've completely cut off afternoon shoots. So it's early morning, late afternoon, we're done, unless it's inside, which is very, very few. I think I'm only taking like 6 out of the 132 that I have right now. And I've got some people that I need to photograph that I've promised will be in it, you know, like kids from camp that have shown active interest, and parents who they've shown active interest in getting their child in this book. Like that really like speaks out to me because it's something they want to be actively a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll probably do whatever it takes to get those people in it. But yeah, the website, ideally, I would love to be able to do this full time. Like just wake up in the morning, work on the website, work on the book, work getting the book into to people's hands and go. But you know, going back, I'm sorry, my story is extremely long. I know this is
That's okay. I want to hear it all.
Started. So when we made the website and the book, like we started going forward with that, and I was, you know, made an Instagram, and I did everything so personal because it was a personal project for me, you know. So my Instagram handle was the Diabetes Hero, and I was just sharing people's stories on that, you know, not making the correlation between branding and marketing and stuff. So I did that for a while, and then I did, and I was working on the book, and that was going well, and I was working for ideas, and then people kept approaching me. Our parents specifically were like, well, you know, are you guys tax deductible? Are you guys a nonprofit? And I was like, no, like that wasn't the purpose of this, you know? And then they're like, well, you should make yourself a nonprofit so you can get companies to give you money and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, sounds too good to be true. We'll do it. And so we actually made it a nonprofit corporation or nonprofit organization or whatever it is in July of last year. So we've been a nonprofit for almost a complete year. And that was a huge headache. The amount of paperwork and things that goes into that and the fees you have to pay, oh my Lord, I'm so glad that's over. But we are tax deductible now. We're 501c3, tax exempt, and all this. And we've been working on getting sponsors for the past 12 months or 11 months or however long we've existed. It's actually a lot more difficult than they think. So we're still working on that to try to help get funding for the stuff we need to do. And I'm so into the book right now that I don't get time to write or do anything because I'm so determined to get this done. But the reason why I bring up us being a nonprofit is because the game, that kind of changed us as far as the game goes. The game was like to get this, you know, for people to buy, you know, and like I'll make a little bit of coin here and there. That completely changed. Now the whole thought process is let's get donations from companies, let's make the book, let's get into hospitals and endocrinologist offices as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So they can give them away. Like I want people who go in that are newly diagnosed to give them that book. Now I'd be like, hey, you can get this book for $25. No, give them the book. Let them have that comfort of knowing that they're not alone, that it's not going to stop them from, you know, doing what they want to do, and just, you know, hopefully it'll be some sort of a therapy for some people. And I think it'll benefit. It probably won't. This is my thought process. It probably won't benefit people under 10 years old who probably won't really understand what's going on. But I feel like it'll give comfort to their parents. It may give comfort to them later on down the road. And if for anybody diagnosed over the age of 10, hopefully they'll look at it and be like, okay, this is cool. This isn't that big of a deal, you know, or this, you know, this isn't the end of my life. And so now that's the main point is to make people feel better about it. And so we started the book and the website, and that was the focus for a while. And then we started doing these videos. Now the videos are something I'm excited to do more in the future, but not necessarily something that we can focus on right now because of the book. So it kind of started a camp a few years ago before any of the Faces of Diabetes started. I always thought that camp needed something that would make people want to go to camp. Like instead of going out and trying to find kids and their parents to talk to, I feel like kids should be like, yeah, camp, that looks awesome, I'm gonna go there. And I started making these videos. And the first one we ever made was something called James Doesn't Have Diabetes. Mm-hmm. So we're all diabetic counselors at this camp, and he was the only guy there that didn't have diabetes. And it was funny because when he was a camper, like his mom was a staff person. He was, you know, and he's a good guy, and I love him to death. We used to actually like hold him down in his sleep and prick his finger and check his blood sugar. Diabetic hazing. I'm one day like we like gelled him just to see what he would do. And he spit it at us. He's a good sport. One year we had a food fight in the cabin. It was a lot of fun. Like we used to like really mess with him. Well, one year I approached him. I was like, hey, I've got these ideas where instead of us actually just like messing with you like we do every year, we actually make skits and put them out on social media to make people laugh. And he kind of looked at me and he was like, okay, we can see what that's about. And I was like, all right. And so we started it. And some of the videos, of course, are better than others, but we all started using an iPhone 4. We did it all on the camera. We used Vine, and people liked them. And so the next year, I was doing my thing, and I'd put a compilation up on my YouTube channel. And this little kid ran up to me, and he was like, "You're Edward," and I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You make those James Didn't Have Diabetes videos?" I was like, "Yeah, man." And he was like, "Dude, I subscribe to you on YouTube. I love them." And I was like, "Oh, we're making some more." So I got really into like starting to do videos because I feel like kids can really like, I guess, relate to the videos better than the photos. And where that the videos can make you laugh better than the photo can because you're actually seeing somebody's like, I guess, story or their scenario they're being put through. And so we got really serious about the James Doesn't Have Diabetes videos, where I started investing like money in audio equipment and stuff like that to make them better and funnier. And we did them the second year, and of course people loved them, and so it kind of became a camp tradition. And we actually did them this last year. A couple weeks ago, and we got about 10 more videos added to it. Now, unfortunately, it was the last year we're going to be able to do them because we don't know where our paths are going to be next year. Like he's hoping to move, and I'm hoping to move, and I don't know where I'm going to be with this book or where I'm working or anything because I actually have a full-time job outside of this. So I just don't know. The future's uncertain, but we have tons of ideas for what we want to do for new videos at camp, and I have a whole journal of ideas of things that I want to do. As far as videos for the Faces of Diabetes go, because I want a lot of this stuff to be funny. I don't want this to be. I want the Faces of Diabetes to be something that gives you a mental break from the garbage that you put yourself through when you have this disease. If you're getting, if you're dealing with burnout, if you're feeling alone, if you think there's no point to having this, if it's just this awful disease that you hate, I want you to go to the Faces of Diabetes and see and feel better. You know what I mean? Like if I'm giving at least, and I put this on my diversity was recently, and I got really emotional, and I told if I give somebody 5 minutes of comfort from having this disease, then I've done something right. And I think that we deserve that. I think we deal with enough garbage throughout the day of having to deal with messed up pump sites, kink pump sites. Forgetting your insulin in the car, bad insulin, leaving your needles.
Constant things beeping like all the time. Like anytime, anywhere I hear a beeping noise, I'm like, is that me? Is that me beeping? Like it doesn't matter what it is. I'm just like, wait.
At diabetes camp? Oh man.
Like
it's like that at diabetes camp too. You'll see everybody reaching their pockets.
Yeah, right. It's so true. But I just want to say about the James Doesn't Have Diabetes videos, which I've recently been turned on to. I think they're hilarious. And even my husband, like who's also like my, in my business, he's very involved, and he's very involved in diabetes as well, even though he doesn't have it. And he was cracking up about the one where you guys like went to the drive-through and he was saying how he's going to have diabetes after ordering, and you kicked him out of the car. He was cracking up. So it's not even just people with diabetes that think that's funny. It's all the loved ones of people with diabetes who get it. Like it's a good thing. So it's awesome.
Yeah. That's something we want to feel. I'm thinking later on down the road when the book's done, maybe start doing video, like kind of like what you're doing. But again, I would be interviewing people who have like a specific talent, going to them, and then like challenging them to their talent. Of course, I would screw it up. Like, there's a kid that I photographed for the book that's like, he does archery, like competitive archery. Wow. Has a compound bow, has this, it's huge. It's just like, holy cow, man, like the real deal. And I was like, I'll challenge him, buy a, crappy bow from Walmart or something and see how good we can compare to each other and make it, just this comical thing, where we do these short videos and kind of show off other people living with diabetes and how long they've been diagnosed. And a lot of the skits that I want to do, I want to feature other diabetics really bad. The unfortunate thing is where I live, there's only about 2 other diabetics that I know in this area. And they are also very busy. So I never really get to hang out with any diabetics here. I usually have to go to like an hour and a half, I think, away is the closest I really get to like a city that has a large portion of people who have diabetes. And Birmingham, Alabama has been like the number one place I have visited to get photos for this book. It seems like every time, you know, I go back there, there's a new batch of people that are just like, yeah, me. And I was like, holy cow. So, but you know, I'm doing that. And so we have the videos that we want to make, you know, just complete satirical and just funny and, you know, people enjoy, and we want people to, you know, laugh at. And we have the stories where people can come and share their stories. And you know, hopefully, you know, a lot of them I feel are inspirational. You know, they may start rough and like, oh, you know, like mine, like, you know, I didn't know what to expect and I was freaked out, and now I'm completely cool with it. You know, I take care of myself, exercise, eat right, all that jazz. And I really just want the Faces of Diabetes to help people mentally, like as far as the psychological issues that can come from diabetes. And I think that's something that we need. You know, I think it's something that not a lot of people focus on. And a lot of people focus on education. They want to educate you, and they want to tell you all about this diabetes that you need to know. And there's so many sites that already do that, and there's so many organizations that already do that. I don't want to be another one. I do not want the Faces of Diabetes to be an educational resource for you. I want it to be a place where you go to take a break.
Yeah, and I think also that that's a big deal. What you just said is that most of the time when diagnosis comes is that I think one of the biggest things that gets glossed over is the emotional fallout of being diagnosed. I think that from my experience, from my own, you know, being diagnosed and then deep depression and then binge eating disorder and then being 200 pounds and then going and changing my whole life. I think that one of the biggest things that I missed out on, and I know from working with so many people over the years that I've had the blessing to do, is that we need to grieve that loss. Like kind of like, it's like a death of a sort, like the death of like kind of the life that we were able to lead before. That's not necessarily the type of life that we're going to like day-to-day stuff. And we need to emotionally kind of be able to deal with that. And I think a huge part of grief, I know it's weird, but it's humor. I've dealt with a lot of death in my life. My father passed away. My sister has passed away. And I can talk about that because everybody in my family has a really great sense of humor. And I know it sounds weird to say it, but I think that part of that huge grieving process is being able to have a humorous spin on it. And I don't think, like you said, that there's enough of that in the diabetes world at all. So I, for one, am personally super excited to see and, you know, read and be, you know, any type of involved in anything that you're doing and supporting it, because I think it's super necessary. And I think it's a giant gap that needs to be filled. And from listening to you talk, and I always say to this on the interview when I'm doing, it's like, me and Edward, we've chatted one time before, you know, it's not like we're best friends and we're like, you know, I can't wait to like see where this goes. I think you have, and I'm a business person. That's, you know, my degree is in nutrition science, but I started out as, you know, entrepreneurial business focus. And I think that you just have this like mammoth, and not to like overwhelm you because it's only up to whatever you want to do, but I just think you have something that could grow and become anything that you would want it to be, because everybody likes to laugh, especially at ourselves. You know, it's just a great feeling to be able to do that. So I'm excited. I'm super excited for it.
Well, I mean, I'm one of those people, and I think I learned this in college, as I believe things when they happen. So like, it's hard for me to get excited about all this stuff, you know, until it's done. Like when the book's done, I'll probably cry.
Yeah,
because
you should.
It has been a 2-year journey for me, and I've, you know, and my relationships have suffered from it. You know what I mean? Like I don't get to go out on the weekends with my friends. I drive so much. It's ridiculous, you know. And I do want this to be a global thing. You know, I want the website to be global. I would like the book to be global. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking that once we get the initial book out, maybe we can find some sort of photographers that'll volunteer from wherever. If people want me to travel more, you know, whatever. You know, that's fine. We're still exploring those possibilities, but there needs to be to me, there needs to be like a laid down style of how this needs to look. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. And a lot of people have been like, and some people have gotten kind of aggravated about this, is they say, why can't I just submit a photo to you and you just put it in your book? And there's a slew of reasons why you can't do that. Yeah. One, nobody wants to take a photo of your awful Nokia phone cell phone picture that's super pixelated from 1999 and put it in a book with all these high-res photos. Two, how do I know if you're even really diabetic and you're just not playing a prank? Because there are some crappy people in the world. It happens. Yeah. So I have no doubt in my mind that somebody would try to do that. But the style, like what I mean, people have said you should get another photographer to help you. And I was like, it's really hard to find professional photographers, like legit ones, that want to just photograph your stuff for free. And then you run into the issue of style. Like, what if their style is way different than them? What if they're fine art photographers and their stuff is just, you know, really out of this world kind of looking, you know, with glitter and sparkles everywhere and, you know, blown out. I mean, it's just, it's a whole, like, it would come down to, like, having to approve them. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings to say, like, hey, that photo is not it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't understand what we're trying to do here. You don't get the right, you know, like, I want to avoid all that. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to tick anybody off. Not at least until the groundwork for this book is done. And because the book can be updated, it could become an encyclopedia.
That's what I was going to say. I think that this first iteration of the book is exactly what you're saying. It needs to be. It needs to be your baby. It needs to be your vision. It needs to be Edward's kind of. But I think that when that happens and when you get that feedback from all the people that are going to love it, because I know that they will, you may be more willing to kind of not necessarily release creative control, but A, you might get more people who are professional who do want to volunteer their time. And B, you might be willing to expand your vision with the expanding group of people that want to be involved in this. But I feel you on the first book. I totally understand. And I think that you would want that to be your vision. And that's totally understandable. I don't even think you need to explain that. This is your baby.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I've had quite a few people. Well, not quite a few. I guess it's only really two. Kind of, you know, criticize me and say things. It's kind of like, it's one of those things. Like, it gets to me, you know, when I, you know, for a minute, and because, you know, I don't get paid for this. You know, this is me just spending all my time and money on this thing, and for it to be criticized, like, for my process of doing it, that just irks me so bad.
Yeah, well, you need to, I was going to say, like, and this is, I've been in business for 6 years, and, you know, I do different things and I try different things. And one thing I learned, and this is, you know, diabetes related or not, is that when you follow your passion, whatever that is, and it's not something that is normal, like, quote unquote, that's been done, that's already, and it's like kind of going against, not against anything, but you're kind of trying to carve out a new path that nobody actually has kind of exactly walked on yet. Haters are going to hate. Like, there's no real reason for it. That's just like the way of the world. And I'm not saying that. I genuinely believe that there are way, way, way more good-hearted, kind people that are going to be there to lift you up than there ever are going to be haters. But like you say, the hate part, like the criticizing part, can get to you, but you got to kind of be like, if you are going to follow these dreams, and this is for anybody out there that ever wants to do anything, there are going to be people that are going to try to, like, get under your skin or try to, like, say something going to get you thinking, like, but that you just got to be like, that's going to happen. That's expected. Moving on. Done. Like, you can't even give it like a second thought, because you know in your heart that this is what's going to help people. This is what you're passionate about. And that doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, because you're doing a good thing. And that goes for everybody out there that has a passion. I don't care what your passion is. It's like, somebody's going to be annoyed by it and somebody's going to have something to say about it. And then, oh, well, move on. Like, that's just how I feel. You know, as long as I'm not hurting anybody, as long as I'm not, you know, being mean to anybody, then, oh, well, if you're hating on it, then that's a reflection on something that you have going on inside of you personally, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with me. And I think that kind of goes across the board for you too, and everyone else that has a passion for anything. So yeah, haters gonna hate.
They will. And, you know, I'm sure when the book's done, somebody will be like, I'm waiting for, because we want to get this in bookstores too. You know, we want this to be everywhere where people can get it. And I'm waiting for the first negative Amazon review. It's just like, all right, brace yourself. Just brace yourself.
Oh, yeah, it's going to happen. I can't. I mean, I'm publishing a book in November, and I can only imagine, because, like, I'm not doing a humorous thing. I'm doing like a diabetes online community thing, featuring things, but it's also story, and it's also some how-to based on my own personal transformation. I happen to be a nutritionist that has a bachelor's degree in nutrition science. I happen to be a personal trainer that's certified, because these are my passions in life. So I'm sure that there are going to be, you know, maybe doctors or, you know, other people that are like, this girl's crazy. And I'm like, okay, well then that's the thing. It's like, I offer this information and so are you. And it's like, I feel like if this works for you, awesome, take it, use it. If it doesn't, throw it in the trash and move on. Like, I don't, you know, to me, it doesn't matter, but I know that there's going to be fallout. And I'm almost like, okay, let's read these things. Let's like make like a movie night of it. Let's pop some popcorn and, like, you know, read these comments. Like, you just gotta, oh well. That's it.
It's interesting you bring up where you say, if this doesn't help you, just move on. And I actually got into a conversation not too long ago about, people. I have a real big problem with people speaking negatively about diabetes. I have an even bigger problem if you run some sort of like social media page where it's supposed to be inspirational for people like living with, it could be diabetes, it could be anything. When you talk about how you feel like you should just end your life or something like that, when you're on a page that's supposed to be inspirational, like giving out that negative, like, I guess, feed to all your viewers or something, like that bothers me. And some people see it as a cry for help. Me personally, I think it's childish. And so I think I was talking to a friend about this at camp, like when somebody, is like, complaining about their diabetes, I'm like, hey, let's fight the good fight. Let's keep going. Let's do this. Let's, I try to put some sort of like adventurous and humorous take on it to kind of inspire the person. I'm not really the kind of person that's like, hey, sit down and talk to me about your huge issue or whatever it is. I'm more of a person that's like, get up and let's do something about it. Let's go drive go-karts. Let's go to the movies. Let's do something to get your mind off of it. And I feel like, since I'm not sympathetic, like I feel like, some people like me need to exist. However, I don't think a lot of unsympathetic people, there doesn't need to be more of us than sympathetic people. You know what I mean? Like, again, like some of these videos and this project may not help everybody. It probably, it won't. It's not going to help everybody. Let's just be serious.
There's nothing that is for everybody, though.
Exactly, and I think that's important, and that's the point I'm getting to make. Is I think that's important. Is to know that not everything. There's not going to be one cure-all for things. You know what I mean? And so, I think it's important to have a diverse group of things out there for people to look at and have and stuff. And I think that's again why we need to exist, because some people may have like the one funny thing that they do or the one thing they focus on, but I want ours to be something that you have more than just one resource. You have the videos you could look at if you'd like. You have the stories you can read if you'd like. You have the book you could look at, and if you'd like. And I don't know, like it's not going to help everybody, but I hope it helps a lot of people.
And I think everything you're saying is super spot on, and that kind of like brings it full circle for right back to for what I'm doing with these interviews, is why I'm just going to continue to do these interviews indefinitely, because I want to provide, like, say you're not, like, my story's not for you, awesome, but here are like an infinite number of other people who are living with diabetes, following their dreams, whether, maybe they're not necessarily into exercise or physical fitness or whatever it is that I'm into, but, they're following their dreams to write a book for photography, or, for people that are like, I've done like Scott Johnson, who's an amazing blogger, or Ginger Vieira, who has written a book, or I'm just going to keep finding people with diabetes who are awesome, because most of us are, and we have our own dreams and individual passions and desires. And I want to provide all of those people as, because guess what? There's enough people in the world with diabetes that we don't need to just, think of each other who are all out there trying to inspire other people as competition. We're all on the same team, and I want to feature everyone, because I want you to be like, whoever's watching, I want you to be able to latch on to that one person. And that's why I'm going to provide everyone's links to everyone's websites, to everyone's social media, because I want you to be able to go follow that person that you connected with. And I don't want you to have to go looking for, I want to just offer that, because guess what? Like you said, we all have a story to share. We all have, and there's a group of people that are going to be like, want to get in our car and go on the journey with us. And then there's going to be another group that's going to want to get in the car with the other person and go on that journey with them. And that's awesome. Like, that's great. Like, it doesn't need to all be in the same place. We just all kind of need to be working towards the same goal, which is following your dreams and not letting diabetes be the reason why you're not awesome. That's just kind of how I feel about it. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, so I was going to say, we could probably sit here and chat forever. I feel like anytime I chat with people about diabetes, it could just be like forever. But so let's bring it towards the end, and let's hear, if you are be so kind to share with us Edward's top 3 kind of thriving with diabetes tips. And again, these are always completely different, and they can be anything. So let us have them.
My number one thing, and of course I run the face of diabetes, is surround yourself with other diabetics. If you can't surround yourself with other diabetics, volunteer for a camp, get involved with some sort of volunteer activity involving diabetes. To me, that's number one. Number two is surviving with diabetes. Man, since that's the main thing I always focus on. I wouldn't say don't dog yourself too much. If your numbers are reading high and you're having a bad day, diabetes isn't as predictable as everybody thinks it is. It's a lot more than just, if you eat right and take your insulin, that's all you have to do. There's a whole lot of other environmental factors that will screw your numbers up.
Yep.
Not your fault. That happens. Don't let it get to you. We all go through it. Number three, exercise. Going back to number two, if you don't exercise, your numbers will probably be a little bit more crazier than most. But man, exercise has gotten me such a tight control that it is now like a priority in my life. I exercise for at least, I work out about 4 to 5 days a week. Yeah, exercise is pretty important. I would definitely recommend that as far as, helping with this. But yeah,
I was gonna say, do you mind sharing what kind of exercise you do? I mean, you don't have to, but like, vary.
I started in not so much high school, more so college when I got serious about it. As I started just weightlifting, doing that whole scenario and doing cardios on my in between, and then a couple of years ago I started CrossFit.
Yeah.
And did that for a while. And you got to be careful with CrossFit, okay? Especially being a diabetic, because if you're not used to working out, because a lot of people think CrossFit's this thing where you can just jump in and be good at it and just start doing everything, and you can't. Don't do it. You have to take baby steps with CrossFit, otherwise you're going to get hurt. And that's why CrossFit has such a bad reputation, is because a lot of people jump in thinking they can slug all this weight around, and they end up themselves due to bad form or something. You have to really be careful with CrossFit. But I did that for a while.
An article about it called Diabetes and CrossFit, What to Know Before You Go. And it's on Diabetes Daily, because for me, it was the same thing. Even though I had been lifting weights before I started CrossFit, you need to
you have got to take baby steps into
yourself into that. So absolutely, that's really good advice.
I've seen a bunch of people come in and go out of it. But I stopped doing that because it was so expensive. And right now I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm doing circuit training 4 days a week.
Yeah, and that's what I like to. That's why I ask you, is because I feel like people are afraid of exercise. It doesn't have to be any one thing. There's no one right answer. It's like, if you don't exercise, just commit to walking around your neighborhood for 30 minutes, and you don't have to run, and you don't have to
Just about to say that.
What's that?
I was just about to say that. Just 30 minutes of just doing something.
Exactly.
Something. Just go walk your dog. Just do something. Go to Best Buy and cruise the aisles for 20 minutes. Whatever. Just go move, do something.
That's not a joke, and even that 30 minutes of moving around Best Buy will affect your blood sugars. It literally will happen that day. It's not going to take a week. Something's going to change right away. So, and that's actually something we were talking about. I won't talk about too much, but it's the Big Blue Test. I think it's bigbluetest.org is it's a diabetes website. It says, and it's a challenge for people with diabetes. It's you check your blood sugar. You do 14 minutes of some type of activity. It could be anything. And then you check your blood sugar again. And then so everybody logs it. You log your before and you log your after. And it's just this awesome website that has all this information, but everybody sees that in 14 minutes, it has an effect on your blood sugar like that. So yeah, awesome. Sweet. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else? Obviously you told us about your projects that you're working on, and I'm going to link all of your stuff below in the blog and in the YouTube video. But is there anything else you'd like to share before we kind of wrap it up?
Submit your story. Submit your story. Find us on social media. Get involved. Talk with us. I love talking to you guys. Because, again, where I'm at right now, I don't have a large community here. So a lot of my comfort actually comes from social media right now.
All right. So. Cool. All right. Well, I will link all of Edward's social media and how you can submit your story below on the blog and below the YouTube video. So go find him, go interact, and go be part of the diabetes online community and be a face of diabetes online. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I super had a great time talking to you. And actually, I'm excited because I think I'll get to see you in a couple weeks at Friends for Life in Florida. So
you'll see me there.
All right, cool. Well, take care, Edward, and I'll catch you all on the next episode.